In this video, I want to talk about the point that we don't want to miss. I've been making masks everywhere I look now. I went on a couple of the sewing machine email groups and everybody's making masks. We're all going mask crazy, which is good because we're helping and all of that's positive. But the real cookie, which that isn't, is soap. The real way to get rid of this virus all the time is not only by wearing a mask or protective equipment, but by washing your hands. So we don't want to lose that message. And what I want to tell you is that you can make your own soap. Now, many years ago, I started making soap. I used to give it away at Christmas. I have remelted a couple of those down and made flour soaps. These are glycerin that I had added herbs and oils and all kinds of fancy stuff to, which you can do just by looking it up on the internet. These are simple soap molds. I'm going to make some peace signs and some smiley faces. And there are the flower molds. And these aren't very expensive. They can be about $3 a piece, but I could get by with just one of those. But the main thing about making your own soap is don't plan on buying soap and remelting it. Ivory, Dial, Dove, I haven't figured out yet what they put in these, but they don't remelt. So what you want to do is you want to buy glycerin soap base. This is white. You can get clear. You can buy it with things added to it, or like safflower oil, or they have all kinds. You just do a search for glycerin soap base. I bought white, and the package arrived broken. It's not very expensive. This is a 2-pound box. It looks like that, but it can be cut up into cubes. And it's called soap base because you can add your own things to it, like I said. One year I made all Castile soap, which was wonderful. Or I'll add pigment. And I think you can use candle pigment, but I'm not sure. You would have to check on that. But I've added pigment like pink and then rose oil. So you really can get creative. But the advantage to glycerin soap is when you use them and wash your hands with them all the time, they do wear away fairly quickly. But you end up with your typical little soap pieces, which you can just throw in a jar, and those can be remelted. So in some ways, I was going to say it's economical. It depends on what they're charging now for soap. Because a friend of mine got an 8-pack of these for like $2. But you can't always find it like that. Sometimes, like what's it called? Cocoa butter soap can be $4 a bar. So it depends on your preferences. But what you'll need is the soap base, the molds, as I said. And this is an old-fashioned double boiler. And I use this for both artwork and for soap. And a double boiler, for anybody who doesn't know what they are, you put water in the bottom. And like I said, this is an old one I've used for art. And generally they are shaped so that the water goes to a certain level. So the water gets filled up to there. And then you put this in, and the bottom of this pan fits the top of the water level. And whatever you have in the top part of the boiler slowly melts without burning. It's not like a fondue pot, but kind of. And a lot of people have them, or used to have them, for chocolate, melting chocolate. But I use it for more artistic things. if you don't have one of these, you can use a regular saucepan and a coffee can, or a vegetable or spaghetti sauce can, an old food can washed out, and set your food can into a little bit of water and kind of do the same thing to melt the soap. But having one of these is good because you can do more at a time. So all you do is you cut up as much of the soap base that you want, and like I said, this is 2 pounds. So to make 1 sheet of flour soap, I would probably cut 2 rows of squares, because generally each flour would be about that big. So what it does, you could just cut this up and use it as soap. You don't have to add anything to it, but it's fun. If you have children, it's a good thing to teach them. In the old days, soap was made with lye, if you can believe it. My father used to talk about making lye soap. So we have it kind of easy. We can use glycerin. It does wear away slightly faster than commercial soaps. And like I said, I can't figure out what kind of hardener they've put in commercial soaps that prevent it from being melted. But once you look into this, you'll find lots of molds, lots of additives. All you really need is white soap base, a way to melt it down, and a couple of molds. And then what this brings in is, you see I have this is what I call a soap blanket, because each one of my bars of soap, you also need a nail brush, don't forget these. So this is a Dove or a Dial or something, and was as big as that and is in there, and I had mentioned it in another video. Keeping a bar of soap in here gives me a little washcloth. It also makes this my personal bar of soap. I was talking to someone I know recently who normally there's only 2 of them at home, and yet they have a stay-at-home order, and there are now 5 of them at home all the time. They're all using the same shower. They have to disinfect in between each shower. They should each have their own personal bar of soap and little soap blanket. So it gives, the message is wash your hands. So by taking the time to just melt some soap and make some pretty little things, you're emphasizing what we really need to do with this pandemic. Long after we're through the worst of it, we need to make basic soap a real priority again, and washing our hands all the time normal. That's my opinion anyway. It's fun to make. You can really be creative with it.